What's going on, F1 fans? We are back at it. It is race week as the Singapore GP comes to you live this weekend. We've got a lot of exciting stuff to cover today. We'll obviously preview the race. At this point, we all know it's kind of it's Red Bull and then the rest and Max and the rest. So, but it'll be fun. It'll be fun. So make sure you guys keep it locked here as we go through that and some big news coming out of. Silly season is still going on. Make sure you check it out on Hitting the Apex coming at you right now. Lights out. Let's go. What is going on, my friends? We are back at it here, Hitting the Apex, joined by Vish, and Moni may be joining us a little bit later. But as we've said, we said last week, right? She is covering, believe it or not, not believe it or not, this is Miami, man. The Latin Billboard Awards will be going on tomorrow, so she's covering that as well because she is the true journalist out of all of us here. So we do appreciate her coming on if she gets a chance, but if not. You got us ugly mugs here for an hour here talking F1. Excuse me. So welcome back, though. It is race week, Vish. Are you excited? We finally got some racing again.
Finally a race. It feels like, given the gap in the season, it's like it's over, but there's still more races. So
it's so crazy. It's really only been what? Technically, it's been a week, right? A week, but it feels like it's been like a whole month. It's so crazy. It's like it's like 2 weeks. It's like a 2-week break, but. Yeah, we're back at it. Singapore GP, marina-based circuits, and by the way, the usual suspects on the chat, Evan, Fern. Am I hiding in a closet?
Has he? Have you not seen his? He's had this set up for a while now.
Yeah, where have you been, bro? Why is it too dark though? Is it too light? Is that better?
That is better.
That is better. There we go. You see. My goodness, it's been crazy. I'm in the closet here. You got Hurricane Ian coming through, so I'm hiding. But no, we're good. We're good. We are excited about this. It's the like I mentioned, the Singapore GP, and we've got some interesting news coming out of Williams and some others, as you probably well know already. But first, before we get to that, let's give a shout out to our sponsor, You Brake Will Fix. You Brake Will Fix repairs damaged wheels from curb, rash, cracks, or bends, all under one roof with in-house powder coating, CNC machining, and polishing. They also offer new custom wheels and tires from your favorite brands such as Vossen, Forgiato, Fuel Off-Road, and more. They now even offer no credit check financing up to $5,000 for a new set of wheels. Fast turnaround times on all repairs, and they even provide loaner wheels in many cases. You Brake Wheel Fix is your total automotive wheel solution located in North Miami, right off of Biscayne Boulevard and Northeast 146th Street. Check out some of their great work across all social media from Instagram to Facebook at You Brake Wheel Fix. That's the letter U, Brake Wheel Fix, like the wheel fix, or online at youbrakewheelfix.com. You can even give them a call. It's 305-748-0112. Again, it's 305-748-0112 and schedule your appointment today. You Brake Will Fix, changing the way you see wheels. All right. Back at it, baby. I'm not dark anymore. I'm not in the closet anymore.
Well, all right. I'm definitely clipping that for something.
Yeah, that's awesome. I like that. You should definitely clip that one. Let's preview the race a little bit. We got the Singapore GP here, the Grand Prix marina-based street circuit. It is a street circuit. Started in 2008. Number of laps, 61 laps. A little bit of a longer track here. Minute 41 was the fastest lap by none other than the man who holds a seat on Haas, Kevin Magnussen. That's pretty interesting. Didn't really know that, but 2016 fastest lap. Pretty cool. This one looks like this is set up real nice for Ferrari. But then again, yeah, lots of corners, lots of twists, turns, lots of chicanes. I mean, really, where do you get a chance here to to kind of let it loose a little bit. It's tough. This is a tough one. Vish, what are your thoughts on this circuit here?
Yeah, I mean it's tough to overtake. It's a street circuit too, so it's tight. You see the DRS zones, but they're not really that useful to overtake at. Between turns 5 and 7 is probably the best overtaking point, but yeah, this might be a little bit parade-ish. And to your point, this is not. At least this is not one of those power. I mean, in a way, the overtaking will be less, but also that means that Red Bull won't be 40 seconds up the road, at least, hopefully. So might get better racing.
Yeah, it might get better. I mean, I think this is very similar. I don't want to say it's very similar to Monaco in the sense that it's a crappy track, but at the same time, like you said, there's not a lot of overtaking here. If you take a lead, I mean, you're really kind of
So I would say
holding on to it per se, right?
it's difficult to overtake. It'll probably take multiple laps, but unlike Monaco, 2 cars will actually fit.
Yeah.
So you can overtake. A lot of the Monaco the cars are so much bigger than they used to be that you can't even fit 2 cars in.
Right.
So in this sense, there can be overtaking. There usually is some, but it's quite difficult. So that'll probably dictate some strategy and also just I don't think anyone wants to take engine penalties here because you'll be sitting in the back.
Right. Am I muted? No, I'm not muted. I always forget. I'll make sure that I'm not muted there. Yeah, I think that I agree, Gavin. Evan, I agree. I mean, this is a tough one, man. This is a tough one. A lot of turns, a lot of twists. Is it going to be? I mean, it might be interesting if some guys are battling it out. Where you might see a couple of wrecks here or there. You're going to see your chances of you seeing a couple of safety cars possibly could change this race around. But like you said, it's tough, man, with these DRS zones.
There's definitely the possibility of safety cars because, again, it is enclosed. You can't really tell from this view, but it is enclosed. So there's walls all around the track, so it'd be very easy to block up a piece of the track and cause a safety car, and that can certainly mix things up. And there's just enough opportunity to overtake where you could see failed overtakes resulting in crashes as well. So especially with the way the championship is, I feel like it doesn't matter who the driver is. They really don't like if you see a gap. What's the worst is going to crash out a well at this point? It's not like it's not like anyone's going to be even Max, right? I mean, he can DNF multiple times and it won't matter. So
at this point, I
hopefully we get more aggression out of it then, because no one really needs to just let me bang points here.
Right. Yeah, I don't think it matters there. By the way, this is round 17. And I just realized it's been a 3-year break for Singapore, huh? So F1 is back in Singapore this year. Here's the tire compounds. It's C3 to C5, which
well, they went
kind of saw that coming.
Yeah, they went with the softest range, so
right.
That'll certainly be interesting in terms of you don't want to. I mean, you would think that one stop is probably the way to go, just because it's hard to overtake. But so they did put the higher deg tires, so it'll be interesting to see how they hold up. It's a new track in that they've resurfaced it, and these are new tires, which we've been talking about all year. So a little bit of an unknown in terms of how they're going to hold up.
I think it's going to be interesting because, like you said, the higher deg tires, more twists and more turns tends to degrade the tires more than the straights, right? So I think
and there's a lot of it puts more stress on the tires gripping.
So does this kind of favor anybody in particular with these tires, or are we thinking at this point, obviously at this point, like you said, it really doesn't matter.
Everything favors Red Bull. I mean.
No kidding, right? I think that at this point it really doesn't matter, but just based off of the way the track looks, right? This should be a solid You should have a solid performance from Ferrari.
Ferrari and Mercedes should be closer to Red Bull than they have been at like Monza or Spa, but we'll see how that plays out. In theory, they should be closer.
I'm just excited we got racing back. Jeez. I'll definitely watch. It doesn't matter. Speaking of times, speaking of watching, here is the times for you all starting on Friday with practice at 6 in the morning. So for all you early birds that are going to be up, let me know how it goes. FP2, 9 a.m. All right, a little bit better. Be able to watch that a little bit, but then you've got practice on Saturday morning at 6 a.m. And then you've got your qualifying at 9 a.m. on Saturday. We're talking about race time is 8 a.m. in Singapore on Sunday. So again, I'm kind of up at that time anyway, so that'll be fine. But God, man, these early races kill me sometimes. Then again, this is good, right? Because you kind of get it out of the way, and then you've got the NFL right after, so you're good.
Yeah, and yeah, we're just obviously not going to be watching these practices. So.
Yeah, we're not, And Thursday night the Dolphins play, so I don't have to worry about the actual game for that. Now it's just about fantasy football for me on Sunday. So, but I digress. Yes, so 8 a.m. race start on Sunday morning. Make sure you guys check that out. Weather, unlike the crappy weather we're getting down here.
Well, actually,
let me rephrase that.
Well, I mean, it's definitely not like the crappy weather you're getting over there, but it's not great. Right now, it looks like we might get some rain. One of the things to look out for is keeping in mind this is at night in Singapore, so we're really looking at the night, not during the day. But thunderstorms likely Saturday night could mess with qualifying. Probably not during the race itself, but we talked about if we got a jumbled grid, the overtaking difficult, we could get something interesting out of this.
Yep. Yeah, it doesn't look too crazy, except for the fact that if we do get some rain, it could jumble up everybody again and make it for a pretty interesting race. Well, God bless your heart, Fern, that you watch all the practices. You're a better man than me, man. Woohoo! Yeah. Well, at this point, it's going to make it better, right? Because we all kind of know the outcome of this year, period. At this point, it belongs to Max and Red Bull. But at least if we get a little rain, it would make it a little bit interesting. I will
say, in that part of the world, the weather is so changeable that who the hell knows?
Yeah. They do get a lot of rain in Singapore anyway.
They do, but it is the weather there is weird. It'll they think it's going to rain, it doesn't, and because it is like an island,
right?
It's very small, so it's kind of like. Will the cloud pass exactly over where otherwise it's just raining over the ocean? So it's hard to predict. So, you can see this forecast now and then end up with no rain.
Could change. It definitely could change. Drivers, I mean, who are the guys that you really want to focus on? Because obviously we've got some news to kind of talk about a little bit after this. But who are some of the drivers that you're really interested in watching how they perform this weekend?
So there's a couple I'm looking at, and there's a couple of number 2 drivers, actually. Curious to see how Carlos Sainz does. I don't think he's a number 2 driver necessarily. I think he's, wants to be number 1. He's behind Leclerc right now, but he's been, the last few races, I feel, driven better than Leclerc. Obviously took the penalty in Monza, but caught all the way back up. And he's been on it. So I'm curious to see what he does now that he's not taking penalties, and frankly, if he's faster than Leclerc. And then the other one, Checo's got to put in a performance. I mean, I know he's signed for next year, but the man's got to put in a performance. Like, he's been bad.
Yeah, he has
for several races. He needs to put in a performance here.
I Checo was the first one that I thought about. I said, well, this, like you said, he hasn't been too good in a while, and I think that he just needs to. And not only for Red Bull, but I think for Max as well, right? Moving forward, I feel like, I think at this point, Max is like, listen, I'm doing this all by myself. Like, there's no help from Checo right now for anything. Not that I need it. Not that he needs it. I'm not saying he does, but it's nice to have a number 2, be competitive and be able to keep these guys away from me. Because sometimes, right? Sometimes you get these other drivers that are a bit more competitive. And if this thing was closer and Checo was performing the way he was, I bet you I bet you Max or Red Bull would have something to say about it. So I definitely got to go with Checo on the first.
I don't know that because Max has been so dominant over the kind of the really since the summer break, but even a little bit before that even had Ferrari not basically effed up every single race at the front of the season when they were faster, I still think Max at this point would be in control of the championship. However, they would be right there if not winning the constructors had they not made all those mistakes. And the reason would have been because Checo was underperforming so badly. So
Right.
Red Bull's kind of gotten away with it because Max is so far ahead that they're also in front in the constructors. But Checo's performance has been terrible, and the only reason that they're kind of afloat there in the constructors is because Ferrari threw away so many points.
No, I agree. And that's why I think that they're going to be, yeah, Horner's. I don't know. There's not much I can say about that guy. The second guy that I want to watch, the second driver that I want to see. Oh man, this is a tough one, but I'm gonna go with. I'm curious as to see now that this is weird, right? Because this is kind of like out of left field, but I'm gonna go with Zhou Guan Yu. He's been confirmed on for 2023, right? So he remains with Alfa Romeo for 2023. And so I want to see if that kind of gives him an opportunity to kind of like take a deep breath and say, okay, now let's just go out there and let's just race and let's just drive hard. Let's just drive fast. Because I think that he's a pretty good driver. And I know he's had a lot of bad luck. He hasn't driven that Alfa Romeo well either, but it's had some performance reliability issues also. So I kind of want to see him come out and just, I'm not saying he needs to be in the top 5 or anything like that, but I need to see a competitive drive out of Zhou Guan Yu, because I think that it's important for him for his confidence moving into 2023 as well.
Yeah, I mean he's driven well. I think we've talked about this quite a bit. We both think he's got pace. He's had a lot of bad luck, but putting in a performance there in Asia, right? I mean, they're certainly one of the factors in him having that drive. So it would certainly be good for him on the back of that new contract to go put in a good performance. The car is fast and he drives it fast. It just breaks all the damn, which does for Bottas too. That car is zero reliability.
I know they both have had some pretty crappy luck this year. Teams to watch. I'll go first on this one. Again, I think Alfa Romeo is definitely one that I want to see kind of what they do this weekend, if they've figured out some of the reliability issues, if like I said, if Zhou can really perform. So I really want to see what they do, and be interesting to see. I Mercedes, right? So this is a track that I think that they could perform well in, right? And we've spoken about it already. We think that this is the type of track that they can be competitive with Ferrari and with Red Bull in. So, can they kind of do that, or are they going to be disappointing again and kind of screw it up somehow, right? I think that they'll be competitive. I think that you might see one of them on the podium this weekend, but those are my top 2 teams that I want to watch, is Mercedes and Alfa Romeo.
Yeah, for me, well, kind of picking up on what Fernie is saying here, but I'm watching the Alpine versus McLaren battle. It's still one of the more competitive in terms of constructors, and Lando is faster than the Alpines. So, it's our man Danny,
which is
Rick.
Impressive, right? It's
yeah,
impressive.
no, he's if you look at, which I don't have up, but if you look at the standings, it's Norris and then the Alpines and then Ricciardo way down on the floor, which is why the Alpines are in front. So I think I'm interested to see what they do here. This circuit, in theory, should be okay for both cars. They're both not great on the higher speed circuit, so they should both be pretty good here. So it should be competitive. And, just first of all, is Lando able to kind of elevate that car above the Alpines, which he's done fairly consistently. And second, can Danny Rick do anything? And, so I'm interested to kind of see how those 4 kind of sequence.
That's a bigger question for sure. If Danny Ricciardo is going to be able to perform. You know what? Should we do predictions now, or should we do predictions at the end?
Well, we don't know if our co-host is joining, so maybe we'll hold it to the end in case somehow, the Latin billboards release her or whatever.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about this, right? You mentioned this a little earlier. We've got that news that 2023 will bring back the sprint races, 6 of them total. And now, by the way, 24 races in the calendar. You've got 6 sprint races. What are your thoughts on this, Vish? Do you like the sprint races? I know we spoke about it early in the year, but six sprint races. I feel like I don't know if six is if you like it. Put it this way, if
Yeah.
you like it, I don't know if it's enough. If you don't like it, I think that what's the point of having only 6 out of 24? Those are my thoughts. But go ahead. What do you think?
Yeah, so I hate them. I think they're
Okay.
stupid. And I think you should get rid of them. And I think the reason they're doing it is money and not because it's actually good for the sport. I think um, it doesn't accomplish much, but what it does do for them is it puts qualifying on Friday. So now there's an event every day. There's qualifying Friday, there's sprint race Saturday, and there's the race on Sunday because they had attendance issues. Obviously, this wasn't an issue in Miami, but they've had attendance issues on Fridays because like there's nothing going on. It's a couple of practices,
Right.
and so to justify the amount of money they charge, they're trying to put something worthwhile on Fridays. Now, the issue I have with the sprint race is it doesn't really do anything. It is you do your qualifying, which is more exciting than the sprint race, right? You do that, and then you run like a part of a race where no one's really going to take a risk because you don't want to wreck your car for the actual race. And the point difference, they are awarding points, which is I guess to incentivize racing, but it's top 8 to 1 is like if you're in second, there's zero reason like send it up the inside and risk
Right.
wrecking your car to try and get a point. So it doesn't ends up being a lot of parading around, and I don't think it's served to the purpose. I think doing something interesting with maybe switching some of the grids up a little bit or something like that to force drivers to drive through it might be a little bit more interesting, and maybe use like qualifying to actually determine the race order instead of using the sprint race. Just have the sprint race be its own thing
Right.
that's not like attached to the other two events. Might make it a little bit more interesting, but at this point, like it's
Still
literally
doesn't make any sense, right? Still doesn't make any
yeah,
sense.
it doesn't. But at this point, they're literally just running not enough laps to even force pit stops, and it's just like okay. And some
How,
drivers do make up ground, others don't, and there is some change. But
how
and then
many laps?
the last thing I don't like about it is they keep using the United States to justify all this crap they're doing, and it's really just to make more money. And this to me is the biggest example of that because these things are during the day on Friday for us when we're all working, so we don't see qualifying.
Right.
So they literally created an event during our workday because for them it's fine, right? For them in Europe, it's later in the day. Then for us,
Sure.
it's like right in the middle of our workday, and so we miss qualifying now unless you like aren't working on a weekday, and they still use Americans want this excitement, and I'm like I think we just want to watch like we like the sport, we just want to watch it, and to me I don't understand the purpose of it, and it just I don't know 6 of these things. What I mean,
What's the point, right? Like,
yeah, what is the point? And especially with the engine regulations and the engine restrictions, now they're putting more strain on these engines. There's already like a farce with how many engine penalties everyone's taking. This is going to make it worse.
yeah.
I don't like it.
Yeah, I mean, you've kind of you got me leaning towards do away with them, for that reason, right? Like it's pointless. Like you got you're putting the cars through more stress, not only the engines through more stress, but I mean, like you said, are you really going to push, right? Are you really going to push really hard? How many laps is the sprint race? I guess it differs. It differs in all of them.
It differs. It's generally I think 30 or 40% of the race, 30% maybe.
Gotcha. Yeah, so it's usually like 17, 18 laps, something
Yeah,
like
usually
that, right?
between like 15 and 25, somewhere in there.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if it's gonna make a huge difference. Now, I mean, look, this is the only thing that I can see that it's exciting about it is if you have a situation where it's a really tight race in the constructors or in the world championship, right? And someone makes a mistake in that sprint race. Yeah, I mean, it helps possibly, let's just say hypothetically, it's Max and Max Leclerc and like Lewis Hamilton, right? Kind of going at it for the top three, and Max screws up, right? Somehow at the start he finishes on pole in qualifying, but somehow he gets a bad start off the line. Leclerc overtakes, but then you've got an issue where Hamilton, Max falls off or something. I mean, those are the type of things that make it exciting. But the truth is, like, how many times? First of all, how many times is that going to happen? Number one. Number two, it's 6 races. We're talking about 1 or 2 points, right?
So yeah, but to me, and that's a great point, and that's what I was about to say was it would be more exciting if that mistake happened in the race. What you're actually doing is dulling the race too, because they now run 30 whatever it is % of the race. They now know exactly how the tires are going to behave. I mean, our most interesting races are when 5 or 6 laps in, they're like, oh crap. Right. These tires aren't lasting as long as we thought. We got an issue here. What are they going
to do? Go to plan X.
yeah. Well, Mercedes, Ferrari's on plan Z by the time like the 3rd lap starts. But like that's actually adds excitement, and actually the sprint race almost allows them a dry run, which makes the race more smooth and actually kind of dulls it a little bit.
True.
And to your point, you're starting on pole in the sprint race. You fall back into 3rd. You've lost 2 points. You do that in the race, you've lost 10. Right? I mean, that's why you generally learn from whatever mistake you made in the sprint race. It doesn't happen again.
Right.
So it's just, to me, it's, I know why they're doing it. And I know why they're, in fact, last year, Hamilton got a do-over when, in Brazil, when his wing or whatever was allegedly illegal in the qualifying, and there's whole controversy around that too, but he had to start the back of the sprint race. And he was able to eat his way through most of the field and then won the race. And it was exciting to watch that, but it's also.
Do you like what Evan said here? They need to get rid of them or increase the cost cap or engine allocation. I mean, I think it brings up a pretty good point there.
Yeah, I think this again comes into I don't know that F1 knows what it wants to be. And I think, this is just my opinion, the sprint race and the very aggressive engine allocation, especially in a year where you have brand new engines, are designed to actually cause the penalties.
Right.
So that way the grid's mixed up. This will be exciting. And to me, artificially, I am, obviously I've been watching F1 forever. So I was in when it was literally just Michael Schumacher winning every race by 45 seconds. So I'm probably not the target demographic here, but to me, the more they make it artificial, the worse it is. And these I understand the point of cost caps and engine regulations, because they literally used to have so many engines, these teams with money. So at that point, it was Ferrari and McLaren that had all this money. And they would just design engines to run 4 or 5 laps. They'd run them in qualifying. They'd blow up afterwards. Didn't matter. They'd sub in a new engine. It's just like, I understand you don't want to do that. But I don't think it's good for the sport when just see, but this is where I disagree, Fernie. So I think that's what they think. I think they're wrong. I think what they've done is they've attracted a lot of new fans that are interested just in the overall spectacle.
Right.
The F1 race is an event by itself because it's happening. It's almost like the results are almost inconsequential. Like even on the boring races, where it's like parading around or Max is pulled out like a half a lap lead and just coasting, people are still engaged. And I think they're making a mistake thinking they got to spice it up to keep that audience. They don't have to, because what they've done, and Netflix has a lot to do with this, is people are now excited by the personalities. They're excited by the whole grid. One of the interesting things Netflix did is they highlighted all these drivers in the midfield down the grid. So people are actually like wondering, what are the Haas's doing? No one used to do that. Like wonder what the cars in 11th and 12th are doing.
Right.
But they've made them into stars, which in a way means they don't have to do this crap. So if there's a battle for 11th, people actually know who those drivers are. They care. They're like, oh, because we watched Drive to Survive.
How many times are you and I wondering, hey, what the hell's going on in the back? Like, is Magnussen kind of kicking Mick's ass again? Like, what's going on back there? You wouldn't hear about that regularly. Nobody would care so much.
Yeah,
that's the same thought process that brought the stint.
So for NASCAR, they do this weird thing with you do like sections of the race, and like they drop cars out after like it's really tough to watch. Yeah. But it was supposed to be more exciting, and this is I think what they end up doing, and I don't think it's going to hurt this. Like what we're talking about, like sprint race, is not going to hurt the sport,
or anything.
So it doesn't really matter. But I think they're just assuming they need to you got to keep it lively. Like that whole we talked about this in the last race where they're like, well, they should have thrown a red flag because then everyone pit for new tires and been exciting. And I'm like, but it's artificial,
Right.
and I don't think anyone had a problem with Max, who was faster than everyone by far, winning that race.
Yeah, why are you gonna take that away?
Yeah,
Literally,
yeah,
why
like,
would you take that away
yeah,
from him?
what was wrong with that? And like, we're not, you and I aren't Verstappen fans. He won the race. He was the fastest car. That's fine. We'll go
It is what it is.
the next day. Like, but they just, I think, and the annoying thing is they keep ascribing to, well, the Americans need this, the Americans need that, and it's like, no, we don't. We're fine.
Right. I think that there's a misconception with, and again, it all depends on what city, also, I guess. But I think there's a misconception that we want more than just like a awesome race. And I get it. We like to party, but so does everybody else in the world. What do the British people don't like to party? Asians, the Asian population, Singapore, China, Japan, they don't like to party. We all like to party and hang out and have a good time, right? So I think that is just, it's a load of crap. I think yeah, there's excitement to it. I get it. It gets people coming out and spending more money and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, like, what matters to most people is they want to see an exciting race, something that just kind of pops out at you that you're like, holy crap, this is awesome. Because racing, practice is practice. Qualifying is exciting. So people are going to be there on Saturday, and if on Friday, if you want to do something exciting on Friday, as opposed to be qualifying on Friday and then the sprint race on Saturday, just do what Miami does. Just throw a party. And that's it.
Oh, they will. Watch Singapore.
Yeah.
I love a party in Singapore.
Oh, I can imagine. I can imagine. So, yeah, however, we'll see. We'll see what happens in 2023. I think we should.
All right, so Verstappen's president or the Queen of England, and Horner's the prime minister, and we're in the seventh ring of hell, Jazz. So
yeah, it seems like it. We're totally screwed. All right, moving right along. Latifi. All right, so
it's official.
Yeah, it's official. Latifi
he has been fired.
He is gone. He will not.
Wow,
be
it is
on a seat for Williams next year.
He can take an honorary role with Red Bull.
Yeah. He'd probably take on one of those what do you call it? Those backup drivers or whatever.
I don't know what he's gonna do because he's obviously the slowest driver on the grid by far.
Right.
He does have money backing him, which is why he's stuck around this long. So I don't think money comes in for a reserve driver. So I don't see what the point of. He might be one of the. Maybe he'll be in Formula E or something.
Yeah. Well, who knows? But he's gone. Replacement options. I think that's interesting because now things are starting to get. It's crunch time, man. And some of these drivers, some of these teams are going to have to start making some decisions quick. You mentioned De Vries, Logan Sargent, Giovinazzi, Mick, and even Danny Ricciardo as some possible options for Williams. Look, right now, I think Williams needs to put someone in there, that's going to be, it's going to be competitive. But I think this is a tricky one. Because right now, they're just not a very good team, right? They're the slowest team. They're just not great. So what do you do in that instance? Do you go with? You can't even say you go with the younger guy because De Vries is not that much younger. He's 28 years old. I think Sargent is probably the youngest one out of all.
He's definitely the youngest guy. He still has to get a super license.
Right.
Which you need to wait for the F2 season to end.
Who's the oldest? Is it Danny Ricciardo right now?
Yeah, those drivers you mentioned.
Those guys. Yeah. So I mean. What do you do? What do you do there if you're Williams? What is your thought process on this?
Well, I think if you can get De Vries, he's likely to be the best in the car next year. Which, if that's your goal, you do it. Now, I don't know that they can get him because he's still talking to Alpine. Still don't know what's going to happen with AlphaTauri. So he has much better options. So absent him, you wait for Logan Sargent. I don't see Giovinazzi bringing anything to the table. And I don't see, Ricciardo, seriously, I don't know that he can drive anymore, to be honest. So, Ricciardo would be a marketing move. He's very popular.
Agreed.
So if you want to go that route, that's fine. But, and I don't know that he would take it either. But to me, if you can get De Vries, Fernie, this is assuming that he doesn't get picked up by AlphaTauri or Alpine.
Right.
You know?
Because that's still up in the air, right? They still haven't chosen
Yeah.
what still haven't decided what they're going to do there. Well, AlphaTauri won't do anything if they keep Gasly, but aside from that,
Yeah, but then if Alpine is still open. So, we're talking about the dominoes falling. So
right?
AlphaTauri's open means that Gasly went to Alpine. So
Exactly.
if that doesn't happen, then Alpine's open potentially for De Vries.
Yeah. Interesting. I mean, that's going to be one to watch. I think we'll know more about that in the coming weeks. Look, it's race number 17 now.
Yeah, but for
So
Williams, they can be a little patient because Logan Sargent is their driver. He's a junior driver, so he can be the backup plan. They can wait for De Vries' stuff to play out, see
this
how
is
that
true.
works out. If he's
Makes
not
sense.
available, right now Sargent would get his super license, so if he finishes well in the F2, he'll continue to get it. And then you have him as an option, and you have a plan A and B there right now.
Right. I know we mentioned this already. I mentioned it earlier. We spoke about a little bit of Zhou Guanyu's back in 2023 with Alfa Romeo. I like it. I'm okay with the move. I think that he's talented enough to have a seat like in Alfa Romeo. I think he should be successful if the car can stay on four wheels. I think he's got an opportunity to have a good season in 2023. Do you like the move from Alfa Romeo to bring him back, or do you think that seat should have gone to someone else?
No, I think he's definitely showed enough that I'd like to see more of him. It is a situation where he's certainly one of the reasons he's in the seat is because of the Asian market, and there is a Chinese GP next year, so I think it would have been pretty bold of them to not cash in on that.
Right.
But I think he earned that seat. He has been very quick. Bottas is good. I mean, he got a bad rap because he couldn't beat Hamilton, and Joe was kind of hung with him. So I am.
It's kind of dumb to get a bad rap for not being able to beat.
Well, I mean, this is the thing, right? So with the Mercedes so much faster than the rest, this is like before last year, right?
Right.
Mercedes was so much faster. People wanted to see a title race. They wanted to see, battling it out. And really, the only one that could potentially beat Hamilton was Bottas because he's the only one who had a car that could do it. And when he's not able to do that, he probably unduly gets criticized. He won a lot of races and really pushed Hamilton several times. So I think he can drive, and so it's a good measuring stick for Zhao as well.
Yeah. Let's see. Watch a good video about how many champs wouldn't have got their super license if in this rule set. It's crazy how strict they are. Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, no, it used to be much easier to qualify for a super license. So it is kind of farcical.
Yeah. By the way, before we keep going forward, yeah, I mean the Discord chat for anybody that rewatches this, because I know we got a lot in the rewatch crew. Make sure you guys sign up for the Discord. Evan will post it again, Evan, because I didn't even see it, to be honest with you. I must have missed it. But post it again if you can there. We've got an awesome Discord chat that we'd love for everybody to get involved in. And then I'll, of course, follow us on Twitter at F1_5 reasons. We've got some stuff going on there as well. Moving right along, this is an interesting topic here because you just mentioned, we were just talking about Hamilton and Bottas, right? And their battles with Mercedes and, how he couldn't beat Hamilton and whatnot. But, and I didn't even realize this, but Hamilton's never finished an entire season without winning a race. Is this a year that's it? That streak is over?
I mean, it feels like it. The car doesn't really have. I mean, and also it feels like if he's gonna do it, this might be the weekend he'd have to do it. There's not a lot of straights, so should it theoretically be less porpoising? It is a street circuit, so other drivers might make mistakes and open it up for him a little bit. But yeah, it does feel like it's. He personally says he does not care about that kind of that streak.
I don't know, man. But if you're competitive like he is, You got to care a little bit about.
I think he cares that he wins races,
right.
because he cares that he wins races. I don't know that given all of the records he holds, I don't know that he cares that if he retires, they say, well, this 1 year you didn't win a race.
Right. I get that.
But because that's it's very specific what he's saying. Is like, I don't care about that. That's not really even a record type of thing.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
But I think he kind of cares.
I would say, I would care. I would care. That's just me, but I would care. And lastly, yeah, we haven't even mentioned his name because apparently Mr. Herta, Colton Herta, has been formally rejected for his super license, which we knew was going to be tough for him to get it anyways, because there had a lot of different things had to happen. And as Fernie mentioned, it's pretty strict on how you can get your super license now, but he's been formally rejected, so he will not have a seat with any team for 2023 in Formula One.
Yeah, and it's beyond 2023 for him, because they use this like you can count points over the last 3 out of the last 4 years, but IndyCar is really competitive. They don't have a great car. So, the places he would have to finish up the field in order to get enough points to get a super license that's going to be tough for him going forward. And this is where the points allocation is so screwed up, as Evan was alluding to earlier, that IndyCar essentially counts as F3 in terms of the amount of points they give you for it. So finishing 9th in F3 gets you squat. And that's what he's getting for doing so in IndyCar.
Wow.
But IndyCar, that's not bad at all. There's like 40 cars on the grid, and their car isn't that fast. He's whipping his teammate, but it's not enough. And then, F2 gets more points allocated than IndyCar, and F2 is very hierarchical, like F1. The top drivers get in the best cars. They dominate. They finish 1, 2, 3 in the series. That's what Logan Sargent's doing right now. And then you get a bunch of super license points, and then you're good to go. So it's kind of farcical that, he's going to have trouble just down the road as well,
right,
getting enough points to qualify.
That's kind of crazy, man. I think he's the kind of guy it's the kind of driver that would deserve a spot in F1.
Well, it's the FIA trying to, they're allocating more points to their junior series than another, top level series. It's kind of ridiculous, but that's because they want to control.
That's the FIA for you, man. That is the FIA for you.
So he does have the option of doing other kind of feeder series, like, they asked him, why don't you go do, like, there's a Formula 3000 Asia series that runs in the off season, which you can get points for. And like, if you go run that,
yeah,
you'll get enough super. And he's like, why do I have to go to some junior Mickey Mouse series when I've been racing IndyCar for 4 years? Like,
that's crazy, man.
It would be like if you're, if you're in AAA and you're about to get called to the majors and like you can't like go play in like the third level Dominican in the off season, and then you can come at the majors. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, it makes absolutely.
I'm in AAA already. Why the hell am I going to go do that to get to the majors?
By the way, Evan, you posted it on our Discord. No, post it here in the chat, dude. What's going on with you, man? Get it together. Why are you posting in the Discord? Post it on the chat. All right, so let's get down to it. Let's get to our predictions.
Like we should have asked Moni for predictions, but
yeah, you know what? I'll ask. I'll send her a message.
Well, given she's at the Latin billboards, Checo won.
Yeah, Checo won, right? Yeah, I'll get them from her. But let's start off with yours, Vish. What do you got?
So, all right, I'll put Carlos 1.
Okay.
Hamilton 2.
Okay.
Max 3rd.
All right.
The surprise. Well, let's bring back a classic.
Ooh.
George Russell DNF.
There it is. There it is.
Nothing but hate in my heart for that man.
You know it. And I like it. God, do I do it? Do I give our boy Louis the win here?
I was tempted, but I was like, I don't even know why I care. My predictions are so freaking bad. I should have just done it. But
oh man.
Maybe I actually want him to win. So I was like, if I pick him, he's definitely not going to.
I know, right?
So I was like, I didn't pick him.
Look, it's so hard for me because I'm gonna go with Leclerc and P1, but it's so hard for me to put Signs in second because they always figure out a way to screw up this 1-2 thing. I think the only time they got 1-2 was what, the first race of the season, right? Was it the first race of the season where
Was
they
it?
went 1-2? I don't know. We'd have to go back and check, but I'm tempted to put 1-2. I'm gonna put it. Screw it. I'm gonna put Leclerc Signs 1-2, and I'm gonna put God. I'm gonna go Hamilton. I'm gonna say Max. Max is like in fourth place. I just feel like, yeah, he's gonna spin out, and this time he's not gonna spin out facing the right way. Okay, but
You spin out here, you can be in the wall. So
yeah, so he's just gonna, but he won't. He won't hit the wall. He will spin out, but he won't hit the wall, and he'll be fine. He'll have such a big lead for fourth place that nobody's gonna catch him. And then man, I want to say I don't think he's gotten in the points in a bit, right? Zhou Guan Yu, has he? How many points does he have?
he definitely has points.
I know he's got some points, but I'm gonna go with Zhou in the top 7. How about that?
All right, that is a surprise pick.
Yeah.
You can see Fernie's up on the screen. However,
what does Fernie got? Max,
Leclerc, Hamilton.
Leclerc, and Hamilton.
However, you will not beat Fernie's surprise pick, which is
I know, damn, Ricardo.
I mean, dude.
Ricardo beats Land. I like that one. That's a good one, man.
That is definitely a good one in terms of like unlikely things to happen.
That is a good one.
That is a very good one.
Evan, you got to send us your picks, but yeah, okay. Mine is kind of crazy. Leclerc, Sainz, and Hamilton.
Mine's not happening at all, but it's still better than Moni's the race not happening. Her prediction, so I feel like they'll make it happen.
Right, man. That should be interesting. Listen, make sure you guys check us out on the 5 Reasons Sports Network YouTube channel. If you didn't catch it now, hopefully you guys catch it later.
Hold on.
Yeah, I see it.
Rolling in.
Max,
rolling in.
Leclerc, and Checo. You think Checo's going to do something with his life? All right, fair enough.
What's the surprise picker? Is Checo on the podium yet?
Ham top ahead of Russell. Hamilton ahead of Russell.
That's not surprising. What the hell kind of...
That is not a surprise. What's wrong with you, Evan?
Russell sucks. Let's be real here.
Yeah, Ham over Russell. All right.
God, if he ever wins anything, I'm gonna never limit him. I don't care. I'm all in on this stuff.
You know what? Whatever. You're gonna get that soft surprise. That's soft of you, Evan. You got to come stronger than that, man. No, but make sure you guys check us out every Wednesday night here at 9 p.m. on the 5 Reasons Sports YouTube channel. Subscribe, smash the like button, follow us on Twitter at F1_5 Reasons.
If only it was scrolling across the bottom of the screen.
Yeah, it's scrolling on the bottom, but I'm not looking.
Well, obviously, because you forgot what it was when it was sitting there staring in the face.
Watch the follow us on Twitter. Yeah, follow us on Twitter for possibly qualifying, and we'll have
something going qualifying during the race, and we'll be live post race. All right, I mean that's even less likely than. I don't think you understand the point of the surprise pick.
Yeah, what's going on here? These are not hot takes at all. Cold takes from Evan today. Unbelievable. I'm not going to even write that one down. Make sure you keep it locked here for the qualifying and for the race and post race. We will have a post race show, and we will hopefully have fun with that one. So make sure you guys keep it locked. Aside from that, Vish.
Yep.
See you later. We'll talk. We'll see you guys soon.